The king looked upon the table he had caused to be made, and he said, "Here shall sit those who seek not their own glory, but the glory of God and the good of the realm. Let no man take his place who holds pride above mercy, or vengeance above justice." Those words are from a medieval prose version of the Lancelot story, and they capture something of what we think of when we think of Camelot. Camelot is the home of King Arthur. Camelot is the home of the Round Table, and the Knights of the Round Table, who are the bravest and most skilled knights in the history of the world. Camelot calls up images of the quest of the Holy Grail, of knights defending damsels in distress, fighting dragons, fighting giants, fighting other evil knights, solving spiritual and mystical and mythological challenges in order to bring peace and stability to the realm, and in order to make it a place of justice for all of those who live in it. This story of King Arthur has become such an important story in our culture that I really wanted to take some time and sort of track it out, right? See, where did it really come from? How did it grow and develop and turn into what we all know it as today? And to begin with, in the Middle Ages, it's important to keep in mind that there were these three, it's customary, scholars do this, they talk about these three great matters, or three great sets of tales that were often treated in medieval literature. The matter of Rome, which is made up of classical stories about Troy, about Greece, about Alexander the Great, about figures of Greece and Roman myth. And the most famous of these maybe is the Romance of Troy, which is a 40,000 line poem from the mid-12th century that tells the story of the Trojan War. And for context, 40,000 lines is about 10 times the length of Hamlet, or 4 times the length of Paradise Lost. So it's a massive, massive undertaking. Besides the matter of Rome, there was also the matter of France. The matter of France dealt with King Charlemagne and with all of the doings of his knights and paladins and things. The most famous one of these tales is the Song of Roland, the national epic of France, which tells of Roland and how he was left to guard the rear guard of Charlemagne's army as they were returning to Charlemagne's lands from campaigning in Spain, and how they were ambushed and ultimately killed. So lots and lots of tales about the matter of France. And then the matter of Britain, which tells of King Arthur and his knights. And we'll get a lot into what we mean by Britain and all of that sort of thing, but these are the three great divisions of medieval literature, according to a lot of contemporary scholars. The court of King Arthur is nothing short of the most famous court in all of world literature. There have been over 1,500 years of continuous storytelling about this court, and the stories have been told in Welsh, Latin, Breton, French, German, English, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Old Norse, Middle Dutch, Hebrew, Czech, Russian, Byzantine, Greek, and that's not a complete list. There are modern retellings of this story in every major world language, including the Far Eastern languages. But how did this come about? How did the story come into existence? How did the story turn into the court of Camelot that we know now? And how did it grow to become such a major literary mainstay? That's what I want to explore in this series. So as we track the birth of Arthur all the way from the earliest beginnings in prehistory to the contemporary retellings of his tale.